Hello everybody and welcome back to another 2020 U.S. Senate prediction. Today we'll be covering the state of Alaska between incumbent Republican Senator Dan Sullivan and Al Gross, an independent running with the support of the Democratic Party. Gross is a former surgeon and commercial fisherman, and he won the Democratic Libertarian Independence primary for this race with 80% of the vote in Alaska. As for the incumbent Dan Sullivan, he is serving as the junior United States Senator from Alaska since 2015, where he defeated Democratic incumbent Mark Begich by just 2 percentage points. As you can see though below as well, Alaska is made up of mostly independents, with just 26% of the population registered as Republican, and only 12% as Democrats. Starting out with all of the polling data we have between these two candidates, as of right now, there are only 3, and Sullivan has a 6-point lead on average, holding 45% of the vote to Gross's 39%. Notably though, the latest poll conducted by Public Policy Polling on August 31st had the two dead even at 43% each. And below you can see the results of the one statewide at-large House race in Alaska, where incumbent Republican Don Young held off independent Elise Galvin by under 7 percentage points and just about 18,000 votes. But next up we have the newly released 538 Senate forecast, which gives Sullivan a 9.8 point lead at 52.3% to 42.5%. And this time below you can see the 2016 Senate election results, where Lisa Murkowski won re-election to a third term, and for the third time in a row, she didn't win a majority of the vote, but rather a plurality against a number of different candidates. Now as for the JHK forecast, they have Dan Sullivan ahead by a much wider margin of 13.5 points. He holds 53.8% to Al Gross's 40.3%. And looking at voter turnout as well, Alaska typically holds above average turnout in general election years, as you see here 2008, 2012, and 2016. And when compared to the national average, you see they went positive all but in 2012. As for the actual 2020 data though up above, this is the Our Progress forecast, where Sullivan has a very narrow lead compared to the previous two of just 5.4 points. 51.1% in his column to 45.7% for Gross. And now our final forecast to take a look at, it's my very own EP forecast, and it has Sullivan ahead by 12.9 points, with 54.9% to exactly 42%. And in the 2018 governor election, which you can take a peek at below, it had the Republican Mike Dunleavy unseat the incumbent independent Governor Bill Walker, and then defeat Democrat and former Senator Mark Begich as well in the final general election. And it ended up being the only Republican gain in governor races in the 2018 midterms. And now finally the data consensus, which is a combined average of all of the data you have just seen, and Sullivan has a 9.5 point lead at 51.4% to Gross's 41.9%. But that does it for the 2020 data, and as always, let's take a look at the 2016 presidential election results as well, where Donald Trump defeated Hillary Clinton by 15 points and 46,000 votes. All things considered, Alaska was closer than a lot of people give it credit for, but Hillary Clinton only managed to receive 36.55%, which is very low considering Trump only won 51% of the vote, which was barely a majority. With that being said though, the polls have now closed in Alaska, and let's go to our EP studios for a key race alert. 18% of the vote is in out of Alaska, and incumbent Dan Sullivan has an early 20-point lead. Now keep in mind, mail-in votes have not been counted quite yet, so this is mostly in-person vote coming in so far. Looking back at 2016, 11% of all ballots in Alaska were cast by mail, and we expect that number to be much higher this time around. However, this lead is convincing for the incumbent nevertheless, but very, very early. EP official can now project that Dan Sullivan has been reelected to a second term out of Alaska. Polls showed him and his opponent Al Gross very, very close, but as we see often in races in Alaska, the Republican candidate almost always outperforms. He has defeated Gross by a margin of 11.2 points and a total of 35,000 votes. Sullivan did receive more votes than President Trump did back in 2016, and so did Al Gross, but he was unable to overcome the Republican incumbency advantage. Now, unfortunately, I do not have a county map to show you guys for Alaska, so that does it for today's video. I hope you all enjoyed. If you did, make sure to like and subscribe to the channel down below, as well as check out more content on your screen here. Thanks so much for watching, and tune in next time. EP out.